Hello everyone, my name is Pacha and welcome back to another episode of Raven Creek Park and to another episode of our new little area here in our zoo, the Raven Ranch, our petting zoo area, where we build for all the animals from the, can I say, still new Barnyard Animal Pack. I think I can still say that because it, I think, launched not a month ago. And today, as you already can see in the background quite well here, we're gonna build for the alpine goat. And before we start, I have to say I'm super happy what Frontier did with all the different color variations of the alpine goat. I think only the llama, alpaca and maybe the red fox display so many color variations, even in their certain color ranges, if you know what I mean. If I mean stuff like, if you have a melanistic goat, for example, it still has different variations in that melanistic color variant. So, for example, there are also goats. I think I have one in here that is half black, half white, and the broken chamois color variation, I think, has the most of them with multiple different patterns, multiple different variants of brown and white. So it's really cool what Frontier did here with these goats. But yeah, back to the build. We are building a goat enclosure, as I said, and not only are we building a goat enclosure, as you can maybe already see, because we started on the other side with some fences here, we are going to build a two-part goat enclosure that will be connected by a bridge over the visitor path, and it will be functional. So you heard right, the goats will be able to cross that bridge to get to one side to the other, and this is, I think, really cool. I took a lot of inspiration from Adelaide Zoo in Australia, who built a similar complex in their new petting zoo area. I think they have also quokkas in that petting zoo area, but I mean, it's an Australian zoo, they get these animals easier than we Europeans. And also these fences here that we are building right now are inspired by Adelaide Zoo, and they allow the guests to feed and pet the goats without getting too close to them. We are in America, we have to keep an eye out for safety concerns when it comes to interaction between the guests and the animals. And I know there are goat petting zoo areas in America where you can enter the habitat. Probably, I don't know if there are as many as there are here in Europe, because every zoo here in Europe has at least a petting zoo area with goats. But since I wanted to keep my petting zoo exhibit, I think that's the right word, for the sheep later on in a later episode, and didn't want to make every exhibit in this park a petting zoo exhibit, we keep with this fence design where the guests can get up close, but they can't enter the habitat. So the goats have a little bit of their own, have a bit of free time, a bit of time for themselves. And this left half that we are building right now here, that's also connected to the barn, is also a little bit more secure, a little bit secluded, I think is the right word. So the guests can't get too close to it, and then this right side here is, or left side now in this case from this perspective, is the one where most of the petting and action happens. Exactly. And we are now building the goat bridge, and if you're wondering what's this what the structure underneath these iron rods, these metal beams is, and also what these structures are, I measured before how high this bridge should be so that it is not too low, not too high, and the other two plaster structures are the pit box size of the goat, I think I will call it. So the distance between two walls that a goat can fit through. And I can recommend always doing that if you want to build something like a tunnel, if you want something like a custom door, stuff like that. Get some plaster pieces and put them put them in the enclosure, and then move them apart from each other or towards each other until the animal can go through it. And that way you know how wide a structure has to be, or opening has to be in this case, for the animal to fit through. And I always recommend making then the actual structure a tiny bit wider than what you measured, so just in case some of the pieces you will use in the build have a different hitbox, that it still doesn't affect the traversability of that opening. But yeah, that is why I use these plastered pieces for, to exactly know how wide it has to be so that the goats can fit through. And now we are building, as I said, the tunnel or the bridge, I think it is in this case, that is inspired by Adelaide Zoo, and that will go over the path and lets the goats decide which side they want to be on. And in Adelaide Zoo, they actually, the bridge comes right out of the building, so right out of the barn structure. The bridge extends over the pathway into their exhibit. Here on this side, we are not connecting the bridge to the building, but it will be a standalone piece, so that means we also need to have, as we do not right now, we need to have a rock structure or a climbing structure on both sides. Sadly, the goats are not like the alpine ibex or the mountain goat, no, the dog sheep. It is from the Arctic pack who can climb extensively well, and can also use the goat mountain. Sadly, the alpine goat, despite being a goat, so that's what I want to say, can't use the goat mountain, which I think is a little bit strange, but hey, it's frontier, so we have to make our own little goat mountains. And we have to check every now and then, which is not included in this video, that the animals can traverse these rocks. And they can traverse them. They can actually climb them very well if you don't make too high elevation changes between the rocks. And even then they can sometimes jump the distance. But of course it also looks cooler if they just can walk up there. And yeah, we are now coloring the rocks into the color of the temperate rock. Natural temperate rocks. And then what I like to do always when I'm working with faux rocks is to sink in some actual rocks to give them a little bit more structure, to give them a little bit more texture, to make them look a bit more expensive, expensive looking fake rocks, so to say. Someone said in the Discord at some point you can already use the actual rocks from this game as fake rocks, because nowadays fake rocks have become in real zoos, fake rocks have become so good that you sometimes can't even really differentiate between fake and real rocks. But I still sometimes love the texture of the faux rocks we have in game. And with sinking in some real rocks, it helps definitely blend them in together. Now we add some little pebbles to give it a bit more texture, to give it a bit more stuff around it, and to prevent the goats kind of from climbing on the rocks and then jumping over the path. Despite this probably still being happening, we adding some trees to kind of block these ways, because a goat wouldn't, I think, jump into a tree in order to escape. Yeah, we also add, of course, the enrichment items now, and you see this rock structure on the left, and you didn't saw me building this. I didn't include it in the speed build because I will delete it later on, and in that spot we will build a little shelter for the goats while they are on this side, a little bit of a shading area, as you see right now, so they can, if it's a hot summer day, for example, they can get a little bit of, can cool a little bit off there, and we just use some tapes, I think, some cloth pieces and some bamboo to hold the structure up. Nothing spectacular, a simple structure here to, give the goats a little bit of shelter. But this isn't everything we will do in this video, a little bit apart now from what you're seeing on screen, talking a bit about what will come in this video. We will also kind of almost finish the barn, not quite, but to I think 80%, because we will add the second floor in the barn right after we build the indoor stalls that we start right now for the goats. We will add the second floor to the barn. As I said, I uploaded now the barn to the workshop, so if you go in my workshop on Steam, you can download the barn, but it doesn't have the second floor, because as I told you in last video, if I upload the barn, it will be as it was in the last time's video when we started building it, and the second floor and stuff like that, of course, wasn't in that video. But once everything is finished, once we have built for the donkey, once we have built for the sheep and all that stuff that comes with it, I will upload a second version of that barn to the workshop, a finished version with all the doors, the second floor, all the decoration. If you want even with all the stables, but I think I will exclude them so you can build your own stables as you need them, or have it as a storage or as a museum space, whatever you want to do with it. But I will upload the finished version of that barn to the workshop so you can then use it and yeah, don't have to add all the stuff that I'm building now also for yourself. But yeah, some nice little simple shelters that I took for inspiration from different zoos. I've been to different animal parks I've been to, so very simple shelters. We will build 3 different boxes so we can separate the goats. Maybe if the male is a little bit yeah, acting up, or we have some mothers with their babies. What is a baby goat called in English? Goatlet? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what a baby goat is called in English, if there is a name for it. But yeah, to separate them, we need to have some different spaces. And this, I think a design I will keep for the other 2 indoor, yeah, spaces, indoor areas as well, for the sheep and for the donkey. Maybe for the donkey I will build them a little bit higher, similar to yeah, the horse stable, horse shelter. But in general, I think I will keep the design because it's very simple. But it's modern, and I think this is what this zoo, or especially with this newer petting zoo area, is going for. So yeah, what are the plans for the next week, or for the next week of for the next videos? Of course, as I said, we will build for the sheep and the donkey. I don't know yet which I will build for first. You have to let surprise yourself, but probably the sheep will be the next one in line, because I really want to build a petting zoo, an actual petting zoo area with the in-game mechanics, and see how that works. And then we build for the donkey, where I don't know, maybe I will add a donkey ride. If you can let me know in the comments if that is something that is common in America and that is okay to do with domesticated donkeys in a zoo. I know camel rides and elephant rides, all that stuff is, at least in Europe, it isn't as common anymore, because there's a little bit of controversy around it, if it's really beneficial for the animals. But donkey rides, let me know if that is something you would want to see and you could see in a zoo that focuses also on animal safety and animal health. And if not, we will just build a nice little donkey enclosure, maybe a little bit more Western theming, because it is the American standard donkey, despite this not being a thing, really. There is no American standard donkey, so to say. It's just a donkey. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. Then after that, we will of course build a little food court or farmers market area in the zoo. I know that if it will make it a real food court, or if it just look like, yeah, an example of a farmer's market with some stalls where you can maybe buy some fresh baked goods and some maybe fresh fruits, stuff like that. And then of course we have the farming area, where we have some crops, where we have some farming stuff, and the corn maze. I think I also wanted to build, maybe also including a little bit of a butterfly garden. This, I think, yeah, we have still a lot of to do for this area. There's still a lot of to come. So for the next week, until we maybe get information about a new DLC, there's still a lot we can do and to make this area a very cool farming area. Yeah, as I said, we are now building the 2nd floor of this barn, and this will be, as in a real barn, will be used to store stuff, to store the hay, to also store some construction materials, some storage materials, storage materials. I know what I mean, boxes and crates and all that stuff. But mainly it will use as a hay storage, of course, to feed the animals. Usually I build some external storage areas in the backstage areas, for stuff like that, for hay storage and things like that. But here I wanted to include it into the barn, so that you get the feeling on, you can see as a guest how real farms and real ranches would do that if they have to store items, because you usually store hay and other feeding materials upstairs, because that's drier up there, it's more climate controlled up there, and it doesn't breaks down, gets moldy, and all that kind of stuff gets wet. So this is really cool. Down there we have the animals, up there we have all the storage. I think in the end it gives a really cool aesthetic when you are on the ground floor as a guest looking up and you see all that storage out there. We also need a stair up there. I know we need either a ladder or a stair to get, of course, to these 2nd floors. And I don't know yet It's not in this video. I don't know yet if I will build this indoors, if I will build a stair or a ladder indoors. Most likely a stair, because a ladder while working can also be a little bit dangerous. I don't know if I will build in the structure, or if I want to build an outside staircase that leads up to that area in order to store stuff or take stuff out and in again. But I have to think about it. If you have an idea, let me know. I have to think about it, how I want to structure this. For now, it's unreachable. Only maybe with a crane, or if you, with a crane, or fly up there, basically. So this is definitely something that needs to be addressed in the future, and that I will leave up to future patcher to sort out. But yeah, now we're getting in all the stuff of decorating the habitat with plants and rocks and all that kind of stuff, all the foliage, and I think I will leave you with that, with the rest of the speed build, with some nice music from Planet Zoo itself, and then I will see you in the end, in the real-time part, where we look at the finished build in all its glory. So yeah, enjoy the music, and I hope you enjoyed the video so far, and I see you in the real-time part at the end of the video. Alright, and here we are now with the finished gold build, and as you can already see, they're using it, use it to get from one side to the other, and I'm so happy that everything worked out and that it's actually functional. But yeah, we also added some, before we go over the actual structure, we also have some stuff over here. I added this tree to give the chickens a little bit more shade. This was recommended to me that this would be something they need, so in the later days of the afternoon this would actually cast a shadow over this exhibit and giving the animals some much more needed shade to cool off. But yeah, we are here for the goats, and this is the fence. I'm really happy about that it works basically. So the goats can stretch their, it is quite high as you see, first of all, but yeah, the goats can stretch their head through it, or you can put your hand through it and feed the goat and pet the goat, but the goat itself shouldn't be able to jump over it. I mean, a very dedicated goat would probably be able to do it, but we expect some well-behaved goats here that they don't do it. The same on the other side, and we also have some hand sanitizers as This is also our other entrance gate with the Wiesent in the background. And yeah, especially important if you are in contact with animals, with wild animals or zoo animals, to clean your hands so you don't contract any diseases to the animal or from the animal. And if we follow this path, hello little one, pooping here in the sand sanitizer. That's not very sanitizing, that's not very clean, but okay. If you go under here, we just missed the goat, but yeah, you get pretty up close to the goats itself if they are crossing the bridge. And on this side we have some more structures. We have some shade structures over here. We have some more climbing frames with the tires and the log, and I actually extended the habitat after recording a little bit more to include this log and a bit more foliage to give the goats a little bit more space. And yeah, as you can see here, we have 4 goats over here, which I was talking about, and all of them look different. We have 2 broken chamois over here. We have this melanistic one, or half melanistic one in this case, and then this leucistic one. So really a wide array of different colorations, which I'm super happy about. And it's always cool to buy a new goat and then see what color it actually has, which I think is really cool. And on this side, we have this little water tower, and I actually try to include all of the 3 big pieces from the Barnyard DLC into this build. So the water tower, the wind turbine, I think it's called, and the well, because I really like them. They're really cool. They are a little bit gimmicky, but I think this is very fitting for a petting zoo area, and they give this Western theming, Wild West American theming, which I really think is fitting for our Raven Ranch. Yeah. But let's go inside to our barn, and here we now have, of course, the 2 floors over here, and you can already see on this side all the storage, all the hay, all the other materials. And the same is the same on this side. On this area over here, we have our goat pens, goat cabins, goat rooms, whatever you want to call it. Very simple, nothing much to it. We could separate these pens even further to create single rooms over here if you need to separate the animals. Sadly, due to Planet Zoo's hitbox, they can't get inside. They also can't jump inside, which some animals can sometimes do. So it's only for show if I don't put a goat inside here, which I can do real quick. So let's go. Whoop. So they actually can use it, and they can also walk through these areas if they want to, or jump through these areas. So these are usable actually by them, but sadly they can't get out. And that is, I think, a little bit of a bummer, but still, I didn't want to make the door even bigger because it would look stupid. And technically in real life they could fit very well through that door, as it's twice the size or twice as wide as they are. But yeah, Planet Zoo and hitboxes. We have an autosave. It sadly is what it is. So this means also that this side of the barn is basically finished, apart from maybe some decoration pieces and maybe a staircase to the upper part, as I said. But otherwise this side of the barn is practically finished, and this means we are now focusing on this side with the animals that will come next week. So probably the sheep here over here in their own petting zoo area. But yeah, this is our goat bridge enclosure, our goat enclosure, our goat exhibit. Of course a little bit barren because the goats eat all the grass, and with this cool bridge over the visitor path. And yeah, this is also everything I want to show you for this week's video. If you enjoyed it, maybe consider leaving a like there, and if you are especially feeling happy today, maybe consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. We are nearly close to 1,500 subscribers, so really cool if you could get to that check mark, if you could to that point. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I see you next week in the next video, and until then, stay safe and have a great time. Bye bye everyone.